One of the things I've noticed watching your interviews and listening to them is how interesting it is to watch you go from like very different genres, right? So you are someone who talks to political audiences. Obviously, you talk about political theory, you talk about policies and plans, and then you also talk to people who are more in the spiritual realm. And I was watching on some show and the host said something about how hard it was because everything was great before COVID. And she was remembering back to when, you know, her life was great. And you kind of did this, like, it wasn't critical, but it was kind of like a check-in. And you were like, well, for us, it was great. For us, everything was great. For lots of people, it wasn't. And I wonder if you have that in the other world, like, so to me, that was basically you bringing a political consciousness into a spiritual conversation. Do you have the other thing where you find yourself like trying to move people with whom you're speaking in politics to see things from the more spiritual realm?
Oh,
and how do those things compare?
Absolutely. A lot of the political conversation, a conversation which deems itself to be very sophisticated, is spiritually very unsophisticated. Look at what's happening right now. The president is basically invading American cities. And people are talking about it like, ooh, this is illegal. As though that's going to fix it when you have a Secretary of Defense who doesn't care that it's illegal. When you have a Secretary of Homeland Security who isn't even there illegally. This is not just about dealing with illegalities. At this point, it's about dealing with evil. It's about dealing with forces that go way beyond strictly externalized issues. So yes, a lot of the political conversations are as spiritually naive as some of the spiritual conversations are politically naive.
Right.
We're naive if you think dealing with Donald Trump is simply as simple as pointing out that something's illegal when he himself has already appointed a third of the judges and he's purged the government of so many of the people who actually might have been able to do something about this.
Right. And he himself said it. I mean, lest we had any doubt, like he said he could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and no one would care.
And by the way, that's an example of spiritual naivete right there. That's a demonic statement. That's a demonic statement. And all the people who laugh at words like that, that means demonic means deeply psychotic. You know, when back in hundreds of years ago, when they used words like angels and demons, Freud had not been born yet. We didn't have modern psychology. So they didn't have words like psychosis. They had words like demons. They had angels of your better nature.
Right.
So we think we're so sophisticated today, but in a way, hundreds of years ago, when they actually saw these things as aspects of the psyche, in a way they were more sophisticated, not less.
I mean, right. But it doesn't seem psychotic because I actually think he's just saying the truth. Like that, I think that, you know, one of the things about Trump is that he's obviously very scary, but one of the things he does, and one of the reasons that people do like him, the ones who do, I think is because he does take the mask off. And I think it's scarier that... I mean, that
doesn't mean he's not psychotic, however.
Yeah, I guess his saying that out loud, even though it may be true, is the part that's very, yeah, I mean, it is. It's true. You don't, I'm like, it is really crazy that, sorry, it's not funny, but I'm just thinking how, I was going to say insane it is that he did say that out loud.
Well, hello, you just said it
right.
yourself.
I know, yeah.
But I think at this point, Katie, we have to not just look back at what happened, but look back at our reactions and our lack of reactions to what happened. As we know, he has turned out to be worse than we all feared. And not only has he been worse than we feared, think of where we have gone for 3.5 years. First, it was, okay, Jared and Ivanka will be there, and they'll be a mitigating influence. Then it was, well, he'll bring in some adults, and they'll be a mitigating influence. Then it's that our institutions will hold, and they'll be a mitigating influence. And then it was Mueller was going to save us. That would be a mitigating influence. We're at a point where this man is now sending federal troops into city after city after city after city. It reminds me, at first he went into Poland, then he went into Austria, then he went to Luxembourg, then he went to Belgium, then he went into Yugoslavia, then he went to Czechoslovakia, then he went into France. So now he's gone into Portland, and now he's going into Chicago, and then he's going into Albuquerque, and then today he's talking about Philadelphia, and he's talking about Milwaukee. You know, even if you invade another country, people have conversations like, what's our mission there? And we even ask the question, what's the exit plan? First of all, he's going in there to quell the violence. What, people who are the real criminals in these cities are going to wear signs that say, come get me?
Right.
And when are these troops going to leave? Do you think they have any plans to leave, Katie? And who is asking them to leave? We have governors and mayors who are, I mean, when you look at that Lori Lightfoot, the mayor of Chicago, one day she's saying, we will not handle this. We will not take this tyranny. The next day, she's had a conversation with him. She's like a different woman. What is going on? We have a mayor of Seattle saying she's frightened. We have a mayor of Portland saying somebody's going to die. And this has already started to happen. We are living in this is not something that might happen or would happen or could happen. This is happening right now. Yeah. And what you see mainly are like tweets coming out of Democratic senators and congressmen saying they can't do this.
Right.
Meanwhile, the Democrats themselves continue to fund the Department of Homeland Security.
Right.
They're asking questions. We want our questions answered by the Department of Homeland Security or Bill Barr. These people don't care what's legal. It's really time for everybody to get that. They do not care what's legal. And that's why this is happening on the streets, because people have had to, there's been such an ineffective opposition to him over the last 3.5 years. So much acquiescence to him in places where he should not have been acquiesced to, that now the people are just taking it into their own hands. We have a match so close to gasoline right now. We already have the conflagration that is possible now. And so I think we have to have a conversation that goes way beyond analysis of how we got here, because historians will be doing that long past the time when you and I are no longer on this earth. There will be books being written about what happened at this moment in American history. What you and I have to do right now is write this next chapter of American history, because what happens in the next, I believe, 2 to 3 weeks in this country will determine whether or not American democracy will survive.